I do apologize for the delay in these videos. For those of y'all who've been watching from my other channel, for those of you who have not, a little context behind this, I've got an incredibly simple, it seems stupid, so simple, workout that starts out with just, it's according to whether you've worked out or not before. If you haven't really worked out much at all in the last many years of your life, basically I suggested either starting out with either 5 or 10 push-ups, 5 or 10 squats, whatever you're capable of. If you haven't worked out in a long time, if you've worked out a little bit, you can start with 10 or 20, whatever you're capable of. And also 5 sit-ups, 5 leg lifts, and also 10 burpees, just basically putting your hands down on the ground, kicking out, kicking your feet back up, jumping up at the top. And then every 4 days you add another set, is basically what I have been doing thus far. And, suggesting to everybody, I've had an injury in my foot, and these past few days have been crazy. Everything from my buddy Pinto coming down to some crazy trailer trash hoe threatening my baby dog Sasha. So yeah, I had a little bit of insomnia issues, but anyway, it's been building upon itself. So I believe we've been up to 4 sets. So I should have added a 5th set, but I'm a little bit late doing this video. So rather than adding a 5th set at this point, we're actually going to go back down to 3 sets. You're going to go from 4 to 3 sets, or if you're at a higher set than that, you're going to take a set down from where you're at, and you're going to add more reps to each exercise that you are already doing. So if you're doing 4 sets of 10 push-ups, you will now be doing 3 sets of 15 push-ups. So instead of doing 40 push-ups a day, you'll be doing 45 push-ups a day. It's only an increase in 5, and it's a decrease in set. And then once you get adjusted to that, it adds upon itself. At the end of 4 months, it's kind of like doubling a penny every day for a month. You double a penny every day for a month. Go ahead and look that up, see what it is. This is 4 months. Every 4 days it doubles. So it's the 30 times of adding sets, reps. That's the idea. Also, if you do not have weights, anything of the sort, I've suggested using like a 30-ounce Gatorade bottle, especially if you haven't worked out before. I mean, there'll be plenty enough to suffice for now. And doing sets of rear delt raises, curls, shoulder presses, oh shoot, old house, forgot, there's that thing there. Tricep extensions, and yeah, so curls, shoulder presses, just with the Gatorade bottle. If you got a 30-ounce Gatorade bottle, it's going to be about, I think it's 30 ounces Gatorade bottle. I'm not sure what it is. It's about 2 pounds at this point. I wouldn't have ever guessed that lifting anything that light would be of any significance. In prison, I would have laughed in your face until I got out and I started sparring, and people significantly smaller than me weathered the storm of my powerlifting, and after a couple minutes, when my muscles gassed out and my lungs gassed out, they beat the hell out of me. So I started seeing, especially at Scott Cujo Sigma's gym, he's white dude, funny as can be, built like a baby gorilla. He fought Roy Jones Jr. in Roy's hometown. He won like 2 or 3 rounds against Roy in Roy's hometown. He's former WBC champ. He's got a good many pro fighters that are incredible. His one fighter who's undefeated, I believe he's 9-0, Austin Deanda, the Native Nightmare. He's 6 KOs and undefeated with 9 wins. He's fighting Nicky Nate Diaz's guy here in a month or so. Here in Rona, it's a huge fight for Austin. It's a huge fight. I mean, this is like one of those fights that starts getting in foot places. But anyway, Scott Sigma, people call him Cujo, I know Scott, had me doing all these reps with 2 and 5 pound weights. Man, what the hell you got me doing this stuff for? This Jane Fonda shit. That's what we call it in prison. They Jane Fonda shit. Had his little skinny guy whooping my ass. Yeah. Shoot. He'd have me do 100 curls with a 5-pound weight. 100 shoulder presses with a 5-pound weight. 100 tricep extensions with a 5-pound weight. And then, these bands on his feet. You can order resistance bands pretty cheap. This is, let's see, how many pounds this lifts? Yeah, 30 pounds, 30-pound resistance band. There are so many things that you can do with this that work everything, that will keep you from getting injured and make you a whole lot stronger, your endurance crazy. Fighting, endurance isn't, the strength isn't as much about how much can you lift for 1 or 2 times. It's about how strong can you stay over an extended period of time. So I could lift, when I was in prison, the best was I was doing 2 sets of 495 for 5 on deadlift, then doing 2 sets of 405 for 10 on deadlift after that. And yeah, I'd be real strong for a few reps. But when I got to start sparring, shoot, after that 2 or 3 minutes, these small, fit dudes would weather the storm, me being like a baby gorilla bouncing through. And after they weathered the storm, I'd get my ass whooped. Gotta keep an eye out. That hussy threatened my dog the other night. I thought I heard something. But anyway, it's not sure to bark. So with these resistance bands, particularly, they don't cost a whole lot. Get them offline. You can typically find them at a sporting goods store. There's so much you can do with them in addition to everything else. So basically, for the general workout, instead of adding a set today, we're going to decrease the set, and we're going to increase 50% in the reps. So if you're doing 10, you're now doing 15. If you were doing 20, you're now doing 30. But instead of doing 4 sets, you're doing 3 sets. So if you're doing 4 sets at 20, that's 80 reps, right? Okay? You're going to decrease 1 set at 50% reps. That means you're going to be doing 90 reps, but in 3 sets. So it's making the reps a little bit higher, but giving you a break on the sets. And that's how we're doing the increase this time. It's going to increase in reps or sets each time, and it adds upon itself. It's only been 1 month. And if you started at jack nothing, doing 10 push-ups once a day for 4 days, you should be now, or even if you only started at 5, you should have gone from 5 to 20 in 4 sets a day, or from 10 to 40 push-ups a day, from starting at just 10 a day. I mean, that's significant improvement. And this is only month 1. So think about that. If you're at 40 at month 1, imagine another 3 months. This has been the hardest month. If you started this and you haven't been working out in a long time, if you've never worked out. So I know this is really seems like basic to people who might have worked out before, but I mean, this is something I applied as somebody who worked out every day for 2 hours a day in prison. It was my life, powerlifting. And there's so many little muscles I didn't know about that go into fight and everything else, like rear delts for retraction and punches. Which I'll get to that in a second. That's something else I'm going to talk about. But with these resistance bands, if you get one, I mean, I start doing, just do 1 set a day for the first 4 days, then add a set each day, just like everything else. Me personally, I like doing sets of 100, just doing a set of 100 of each thing. So curls, everything else, grip is a huge thing, because you can have wrist wraps, you can have this, you can have that with a bar, lifting a weight in a controlled motion. But when you actually get into it, or into a real world thing, like just picking something up, if your grip gives out, It don't matter how strong whatever muscle is. If your hands can't hold it, what was the point? What was the point? If your hand, your forearms, if your grip isn't strong enough to hold it, what was the point? You know, I deadlifted a good bit. I deadlift 535 without wrist ramps or a belt. That's for one rep. My forearms gave out quick. I made forearms a priority. And I did forearms every day. I do something like a set of 25 with the 45-pound bar. I start out with 35-pound dumbbell. And I do 8 to 10 just regular standard curls. And I do 8 to 10 hammer curls back to back. So that's either 16 to 20 with 35 pounds. Take the 45-pound bar. And every 5, I do a little closer and do about 25 reps. Then switch to a reverse curl, 25 reps. And then resistance band, 100 reps. And then sometimes I do bar hangs. If you have a pull-up bar, I dare you to try this and think you're going to go in and being a bad mother. Think you're going to go in this and think you're just going to kill it. Shoot, I did. I thought, shoot, hang off a bar for a minute. I ain't got to do a pull. All I got to do is do this. Hang, hold on to a bar with your feet off the ground for 1 minute with a timer. It sounds easier than it is. About 30 seconds in, you're going to start thinking, oh man, this is a little bit harder than I thought. 40 seconds in, you're going to be like, 50 seconds in, you're going to be like, oh, everything. You're going to see little muscles start twitching. Yeah. Now do 4 sets of 1 minute holds. And take just 2 to 3 minutes between each set. That'll build your grip up. That's a big one for me. Was those minute hangs. And then static holds. Getting a 45-pound bar and just holding it for 1 minute at a time, then resting for a minute. I usually do 4 sets of 1 minute holds with 1 minute rests. Of regular, so I'd hold it right here, a little bit higher than midway up. That midway, I'd hold it about right here. Oh, it'll start burning. And then 4 sets of reverse holds for 1 minute with 1 minute rests. I'm telling you. Start burning. And doing all this back to back to back every day got my grips to where I got a few stupid nicknames. Some people call me Gorilla Glue, Gorilla Grips, and all this other stuff. I'm only about 175 pounds, and like typically with the way I dress, I got to show my arms a little bit right now, and even then I don't look that impressive. When I get a hold of people, they get that look of shock. Like, what's going on right now? This isn't right. And it's not supernatural. It's from work. Any muscle that gave out, any muscle that wore out, I put work into. And grips are huge. Grips and rear delts are 2 of the biggest underdeveloped, overlooked muscle group. You know, your forearms, which grips is all the way through your forearms. Like a hammer curl. Hammer curl works, of course, it works your forearms, but it works. Your bicep is 2 different parts. This part, the hammer curls. And with those grips, it's tremendously important. So anyway, I've also talked about doing 3 leg lifts with 1 kick each leg. So it's 30 leg lifts, 10 kicks. If you're capable of doing that, it's a lot more fun than, you know, sitting around adding more leg exercise. Leg exercise aren't that fun. I mean, that's why so many people are doing, and you know, my calves ain't nothing. and especially since I broke my foot, my calves, my right calf, withered up. Now, wasn't hamstrings big as the son of a, but calves, that's something that's hard to deal with. But anyway, so just to refresh, the rear foot is at a 45-degree angle, and the front leg is up, up, up. And just kick out. That is the number one thing I do if somebody's trying to charge me and headhunt and knock me out. That's what I did the other night. You know, those kids pulled up, and I showed them, so I told them, slap me in the face as many times as you could. And I was standing there with my hands down. So what I did, I stood with my hands down, and I'm waiting. I'm like, I'm bored. My right leg back, and then forward. When they come forward, and them coming into me amplifies my foot into them. So when they're moving into me, their force of coming forward amplifies my leg just coming up and coming out and touching them. And a lot of times it'll make them buck forward. And you know, I've got them coming over, and I'm going to add stuff like this with them to show this. But basically everything, I've said what to add. But something else to add, because I talked about the kicks. So many people, I punch hard, you don't understand. When I get mad, I just see red. I mean, everybody thinks they're a bad mother. And they show up to training against trained people, and you see, they don't know shit. Average person thinks they're the baddest mother. If they get angry enough, they're going to knock you out. Okay, they're going to get angry, they're going to start breathing hard. They got about 30 seconds to a minute. Yeah, you just see red, you're just going to see red for about 30 seconds, and I'm going to roll you around the ground like a little pig. Okay? I'm not going to have prison. There's somebody threatening me a little bit. And I tried to be mature. Then eventually, there were a couple different things that I said, because you know, my rational side thinking, I'm just gonna have prison, be cool, this person's drunk, whatever. But then, you know, my street side's thinking, man, knock this motherfucker out. What the hell do they think they are? Gonna whoop my ass. Trust me. So eventually, you know, that whole mature thing, you can only be mature so many times before you give up your dignity. At which point, you know, there was one time in the hallway. Plenty of space between us, about 15 feet. So imagine me standing right here, about, let's say I'm 10 foot away from the person. I drew a line with my foot. Oh, right foot, sir. Drew a line with my foot. Right there. I said, you want to whoop me? Step across that line. And I step back, 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 back. Step across it. And I'm far back enough that I'm not a threat. But I let him know, step across that line. So you're bad, you keep on telling me what you want to do. You know, I don't care who you are in relation to anyone I know. Step across that mother line. And I was ready to go, but I mean, he shut them up. And then the second time, they like act like they were tough. Second time, there was an issue and they did like this. They did. And as soon as they did that, of course, I dropped my foot back. Anytime somebody stepping forward towards it, I'm not going to stand here and let you do that to me. No. One of the main things about fighting is distance management. The person who controls the distance controls the fight. So as soon as they stepped towards me, I dropped my right foot back and immediately put my hands up. He said, and then they put their hand, they weren't trying to fight. Said, oh, put your hands down. I said, no. I said, you put your butt towards me like you're trying to fight. I said, shoot, if you're going to butt towards me, I'm going to put my hands up. They said some other slick stuff, and I said, listen. I said, let's be real about this. I said, you know, I've been doing this twice a day for a minute, and at that time I'd only been doing it twice a day for about 9 months, I guess. But I mean, it was good enough. It was good enough in prison, what I'd done in Kempo Karate before. So after I've been out and done it for another 9 months, twice a day, 4 or 5 hours a day, it was definitely enough. And I said, listen, yeah, you might be a good bit bigger than me, but you're a good bit overweight. So you got about 5 punches in you, maybe 15 seconds. And you better hope you catch me with one of them, which you won't. Because at that point, you're going to be out of breath. I'm going to go here fat, round on the ground like a little pig, do whatever I want to you. So fuck at me again. The reason I learned to fight, the reason I did this endurance stuff, so I never had to deal with somebody like that. A bully, somebody wants to intimidate you and make you be afraid of their wrath, of their consequences. Shoot. You know, I dealt with that fear at one point. And then started, you know, I'm probably autistic. I looked at it analytically. They want to make me afraid of them from physical harm. So I need to learn how to fight. Then I'll never have to worry about that lip. Because that lip will burn me up. And that lip can burn you up and make you resent for a lifetime. Or you can spend a few hours a day for not that long and get a good grasp on stuff. And not have to take anything from anybody ever again. That's why I train. I train so I don't have to deal with a damn thing from any mother that tries to come at me with any sideways stuff. I mean, seriously. I can't think of one person I've had issues with that knew a thing about fighting. And in prison, I learned the baddest thing about people was their breath. Meanest face tattoo gang members, 99% of them talk a good game, put up with it. They couldn't fight, pretended they couldn't though. So people want to punch hard, but a lot of people don't know what it's like to throw a punch and miss. Most of your punches you throw, you're not going to hit every punch. I mean, I wish it was that way. I wish I had, you know, that dead touch where I just, everything I threw landed. Like I was just, you know, that accurate. But it ain't gonna happen. And the other day when Pinto was over, and I love Pinto, he's my brother, but when I've been around people that train so much, and I have not hung around anyone else. I train, I come home. I've forgotten what it's like when people ain't training. So I have this cover bag, it's this thing over here. See it a little bit with the microphone, but it's got a spring, it's got a bag on top. And I wasn't even hitting it hard. I had the boxing gloves on it. It don't move as good with out the boxing gloves in case he's asleep. But basically, you know, I was showing him with the stands. You know, this is the back. So I was showing him. And as soon as it hits, and when I watched him hit, it wasn't as fluid. I mean, he's throwing them out, but he's not retracting it. So people, yeah, everybody can throw it out, but pulling it back, missing a punch, that's what people miss. A lot of people throw out a shoulder, tear a rotator cuff, because they don't know how to miss a punch. That's what shadow boxing does that people don't get. It's not teaching you as much how to land a punch course it does. It gives you more fluid. Teach you how to miss and not hurt yourself. How to miss and not be thrown off balance. So, what I'm going to say today isn't as much a full punch. I'm going to start you at the basics, just like everything else I've brought up. Don't start out with the full punch. We're going to start off with the retraction. So, whichever hand is your power hand, you step your rear leg back. Like if you put your feet, so your 2 feet are touching, together. The front leg, 24, the rear leg at a 45-degree angle. And then the rear leg, step back. Bending your knees. The front leg, mostly down, all the way on the ball of your foot though. On the rear leg, your heels up. Okay? And then you're going to stomp like you're putting out a cigarette with your rear foot. And you're going to keep this hand up. It's very important. And you're going to have that hand out. So 10 times. And if you want to do it each side, that's cool. Most people are only good on one side. We're not going to throw it out. That's what everybody's obsessed with. We're going to pull it back because that's what creates speed, the retraction, okay? So with the rear hand, rear leg, we're going to have the feet together, step back. We're going to pivot on the rear foot, turning the hips forward at the end of the punch. And this is never locked out like this. That should never be locked out. There's a bend in it. So, bending it, and then we're going to retract. A lot of people retract the same way they throw it out. So they'll go, and that's all good. But what I've had work better for me against professional boxers, professional MMA fighters, is after I throw out, to go up. There. So instead of going here, I've gotten counter with the left hook a good bit if I do that. But as soon as I throw it out, so 10 times, just have it out, and then, say ready, set. Times. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I've got to give that speech at the college tomorrow. I'm gonna have that up on here. But yeah, so decreasing a set, increasing reps by 50% in each set. So if you were doing 10 a day, you would have been at 40. Now you'll be at 3 sets a day at 15 apiece. That'll be 45. If you were at 20 a day, that would have been at 80 reps between 4 sets. Now you will be doing 90 reps in 3 sets. So that's what's up. And anyways, that's it for now. Sorry it's been a minute. It's going to be more regular on this. I apologize for the delay. Y'all have a good one.